Cabbage has always been celebrated as a humble kitchen staple, yet very few gardeners realize it can also be transformed into living, breathing garden art. The secret lies not in fancy materials or expensive decor, but in learning how to upcycle the cabbage you already have into eye-catching displays that double as a feast for the eyes and, eventually, the table. This is where gardening meets creativity, turning an ordinary vegetable into a spectacular statement piece that draws admiration from every visitor who steps into your garden. The natural symmetry of cabbage is what makes it stand out as a perfect medium for garden art. Each head is formed with layers of leaves arranged in a spiral, resembling a giant rose that never fades. When grown intentionally, the deep greens, purples, and even bluish tones of ornamental varieties create a striking visual contrast against ordinary foliage. By upcycling cabbages, whether leftover seedlings, slightly damaged heads, or older plants, you transform them into decorative accents rather than discarding them. This approach not only reduces waste, but also elevates your garden into a gallery of natural patterns and textures. One of the simplest and most magical tricks every gardener should know is regrowing cabbage from kitchen scraps. Instead of tossing the core into the compost, place the base of a cabbage head in a shallow bowl with about 2 centimeters of water, changing the water every couple of days to keep it fresh. Within a week, you'll notice new green shoots emerging from the center. Once the roots are about 3 to 4 centimeters long, transplant the base into a pot or garden bed enriched with compost. This single upcycled scrap becomes the foundation for a living sculpture, producing curling leaves that fan out like decorative petals. Ornamental cabbages, sometimes referred to as flowering cabbages, are the crown jewels of upcycle gardening. Their bold purples, whites, and pinks look like blossoms, but require no pruning or deadheading. Planting them in clusters or along borders creates stunning patterns, almost like watercolor paintings across your beds. If you have leftover cabbages from your vegetable plot that are past their prime for eating, do not remove them. Allowing them to mature produces equally fascinating rosettes, especially in cooler weather when their colors intensify. By reimagining cabbages as art rather than food alone, you give them a second life that delights the eye through every season. Upcycling isn't limited to the ground. Large pots, recycled tubs, or even old buckets can become platforms for cabbage-based art. If you plant one bold cabbage in the center and surround it with trailing herbs like thyme or creeping rosemary, the upright cabbage becomes the focal point while the cascading plants frame it like a picture. To enhance contrast, just add edible flowers such as nasturtiums or pansies around the edges. Suddenly, what started as a leftover cabbage plant becomes a designer piece for patios, balconies, or entryways. This is sustainable gardening at its finest. No waste, only beauty and utility. Not all cabbage artistry has to remain in the soil. Large outer leaves, especially those too tough for cooking, can be dried and preserved to create rustic crafts. Rinse the leaves thoroughly, pat them dry, and press them flat between 2 layers of paper towels. Place them under a heavy book for about 7 to 10 days until they are crisp and stiff. Once dried, the veins create a delicate lace-like pattern, perfect for framing as botanical art, using in garden journals or even as natural stencils for painting. In this way, even the parts of cabbage that seem unusable become materials for long-lasting art projects. Cabbages become even more captivating when paired with other upcycled plants to form edible displays. Imagine alternating purple cabbage with green lettuce, or planting a spiral bed that swirls with different leafy greens. This not only creates a visual feast, but also a harvestable one. For a dramatic effect, intersperse kale or Swiss chard alongside cabbage, using their contrasting textures and colors to highlight the symmetry of each head. With thoughtful arrangement, the entire vegetable garden transforms into a gallery where every plant contributes to both nourishment and design. Cabbage leaves and trimmings that are no longer needed can still serve the garden artistically, this time beneath the soil surface. Chop leftover cabbage scraps and mix them into the compost heap, or bury them directly into garden beds about 15 centimeters deep. As they decompose, they release nutrients back into the soil, enriching it for the next cycle of planting. This invisible layer of artistry may not be as eye-catching as colorful rosettes, but it completes the upcycle journey by ensuring nothing is wasted. your soil becomes healthier, your future plants stronger, and the entire garden more sustainable. To keep your upcycled cabbage art at its brightest, hydration and nutrition must work hand in hand. A natural formula can make a remarkable difference in leaf vibrancy. Mix 15 milliliters of liquid seaweed fertilizer into 1 liter of water and use it to water your ornamental cabbages once every 2 weeks. This solution encourages strong leaf development and deepens the natural pigments. The result is more intense purples, richer greens, and an overall healthier appearance. Such simple attention ensures your cabbage displays remain striking all season long. The beauty of upcycling cabbage lies in its dual purpose. At one stage, it nourishes your body, at another, it delights your senses as living art. It teaches gardeners that beauty doesn't always need to be bought, and waste doesn't always need to exist. Every cabbage leaf, core, or outer wrapper has a role, whether as a centerpiece, a regrown plant, or a natural craft. This mindset of transformation turns gardening into more than just growing food. It becomes an act of creativity and stewardship that deepens your connection with the land. Cabbage is proof that garden art doesn't have to come from expensive flowers or elaborate installations. With just a bit of imagination and the willingness to upcycle what you already have, you can create breathtaking displays that surprise and inspire. So the next time you hold a cabbage in your hands, see it not only as a vegetable but as a canvas for beauty. If this inspired you to rethink your garden in new and artistic ways, subscribe to Master Gardener and share this with fellow gardeners who would love to turn the ordinary into something extraordinary. Together, we can make every garden a masterpiece.